And the problem with any of these conditionings that we have been involved in our life is we end up with this idea of what God created is crazy and therefore not achievable, and what man created, which is here, that's what man created, we view that as reality and normal. And can you see, if we continue to hold on to that concept, our growth is going to be very severely affected, not only as an individual, but also as a human race. If we hold on to the concept that change is not possible, and that happiness is not possible, and that what is currently seemingly reality is not reality, if we hold on to the concept that it is reality, then we're going to end up in a very hopeless situation where we don't believe our own growth even is possible. Whereas if we start seeing that this is reality, as God created it to be, and this is unreality, then we have some ability then to actually confront what the society believes is normal. You think about your day-to-day life, what's one of the biggest fears that you have? Isn't it the fear that you'll be viewed as crazy or abnormal? Isn't that one of the biggest fears? Now, if you look at every person in history that's ever moved humanity forward, they have always been viewed as crazy by their peers. And that's always the case with almost every person historically. It starts off with them being viewed as crazy, or even before then, or usually after then, they're viewed angrily. In other words, they're attacked, and then they're accepted, and then they're often honoured. All in one lifetime, many of them go through this procedure, right? And what I'm suggesting is that if we hold on to this concept of normal, the world's concept of normal, and even our own concept of normal, which has been highly defined by the world's concept of normal, and if we hold on to that, we have no capacity to actually change to what God views as normal. But if we allow our minds, at least even our minds, to conceive that what we have on the planet today as normal, including the fact that animals are scared of us and they kill each other for food, including the fact that we have diseases, including the fact that we grow old and we die, including all of these facts that appear as reality, and if we see them no longer as reality, but rather just as the creation of a person who has walked away from God and truth, then we'll at least have some hope that things can change, and therefore have a desire to change. We'll at least do that. And that's what I'd encourage you to do, is to confront the world's viewpoint of normal in your day-to-day life. Jessica, wait for the mic. You're terrible with this mic.
I said a few times to people that death is not normal. And they all think I'm crazy.
Exactly, yeah, exactly.
I said God didn't create death. But did God create death?
Well, no, God didn't create this state here, did she? She created this state here, and man created this state here.
That's right.
So, although it is a reality that man has created this state, it is not the reality of what is possible. What is possible is this, right? And if we can hold on to what is possible and have some faith about what is possible, and have some faith about God's nature, that God would not have created the world as it is, but rather as to what it was possible to be.
Can we call it divine norm?
This one, divine norm?
Yeah,
that's what too. You want to call it divine normal? Yeah. Well, the reality is there is probably no divine normal, because if you think about it, our soul, this state here, is only the beginning of the capacity of our soul to grow. And that being the case, we can grow beyond that point, and our soul can continuously expand. So we have the potential to infinitely expand, not just to be limited to a certain condition. And so because of that, there is no normal in terms of what would be limited to. We can only have eternal expansion. But this is what I feel is the normal for mankind. Like we are, without God, are able to achieve this normal. Without God, we're able to achieve that normal. And yet we're way down here believing this to be normal. Yeah. So a person doesn't have to believe in God even to see this as the potential of being normal. Yeah. And when you think about what drives a lot of scientific discoveries, isn't it that fact that they want things to change? Like, why are they working on the so-called death gene? Well, there's a gene in your body, in your body's genetic structure, that causes you to die, they've found. It causes you to grow old and get wrinkly and die over a period of time. And scientists have discovered the gene. They know the exact gene it is in the chromosome, right? And in the what's it called? The ribonucleic acid, which is the deoxyribonucleic acid, which is DNA. They've found the exact gene that causes your death. They don't know why it's there. They're now experimenting with removing it, or trying to remove it. Right? Well, they don't understand the cause of why this gene is present. And the gene is present because of that was the normal condition without the gene, and this is the condition with the gene. Right? Even the genetic structure of our own body is severely impacted by what we believe is normal, which is not what is normal. This is normal. And this is something that we need to understand ourselves and confront within the society around us. And I don't mean you have to be angry about it. It's just a matter of confronting it by talking about potentials that are not viewed by the world as normal. Yeah. Now, I just wanted to raise that with you because if we don't do this, we are going to continue on the merry way of time. So as time progresses through life, we're going to keep accepting what our previous parents accepted as normal. And can you see that if I start to no longer accept that as normal, and I start to return back to what God views as normal, then any person who believes that is normal is going to be confronted by my behaviour. Can you see that? So it is impossible for people around you to not be confronted by your change. It's impossible. And while I am so afraid of them attacking me about my change, I am obviously going to be very tempted to stay on this line rather than go on this line. But this is the line we need to go. Not only individually, but as a whole society, we need to go in that direction. If we go in this direction, we're going to end up with exactly the same results as we've always gotten. In other words, we'll look in the mirror when we're 30 and there'll be a line or two there, and when we're 40 there'll be more lines, and when we're 50 there'll be more, and when we're 60 or 70 or 80 we may be lying on our bed looking in the mirror. And when we're 90 we might not be here at all, just because of what we believe is normal. And when we get diseases, when we search for a human solution to many of these diseases, when I say a human solution, when we search for a medical solution addressing the effect, then we're not seeing what's normal from God's perspective. We're only accepting the normal of the world. We need to change. We need to grow from that condition. Mary?